How long can a plant live once it's been uprooted? Days, maybe? Weeks? There are various factors involved that might lead to longer or shorter survival times. But the one thing that we know for certain is that unless quick and decisive action is taken, the plant is eventually going to die. Well, how long can a people live once they have been uprooted? This is the question posed near the beginning of Paul Kingsnorth's book, Against the Machine. This quote pretty well captures the tone of the book when he says this: when a plant is uprooted, it withers and then dies. When the same happens to a person or a people or a planet full of both, the result is the same. Our crisis comes, I think, from our being unable to admit what on some level we know to be true, that we in the West are living inside an obsolete story. Our culture is not in danger of dying, it is already dead, he says. And we are in denial. This now is the reality we have to wrestle with and transcend. I don't say this lightly. Very few nonfiction books have affected me at a deeper level than this particular book. It was sobering, it was maddening, it was depressing, it was weirdly therapeutic, all at the same time. Some of that, no doubt, is related to Kingsnorth's mastery of compelling prose. He's just a really good writer. But more than the style, it was really the substance of the book that made such a visceral impact on me when I read it. This book begins with two contrasting epigraphs, two contrasting quotes, offering two different perspectives on the same reality. These quotes, I think, set the tone for the entire book. That's why he included them at the very beginning. The first quote is from the American novelist Wendell Berry. Many of you have heard of him. He says, "It is easy for me to imagine that the next great division of the world will be between people who wish to live as creatures and people who wish to live as machines." On the very next page, he offers this quote from the famous British science fiction writer Arthur Clarke. He says, "It may be that our role on this planet is not to worship God, but to create him." Both of these quotes are reflections on a transformed cultural landscape. To Berry, this landscape is a technological wasteland, absorbing what was left of our humanity. To Arthur Clarke, on the other hand, this landscape holds all the promise of a new Eden, where humans, set free with the godlike powers of technology, we create God ourselves. Presumably, we create God in our own image. Kingsnorth then spends the next 300 pages arguing that both quotes contain some truth. In a way, Clarke is right. We have created wonders of efficiency and power, overshadowing heaven with our digital Tower of Babel. What need do we have for God in the age of AI? But in a more important way, Berry is also right. In our hubris, we have sown the seeds for our own destruction. We haven't made gods in our image. We have made idols that are conforming us to their image. The most pressing questions that humans will have to answer now and in the future is whether we will continue to be fully human or whether we will be absorbed into the machine. Many who will read this book will already have felt the reality of Wendell Berry's observation pressing down on them, even if they aren't quite able to express it. We live, after all, in a time of great wealth and comfort, really unparalleled in human history. In many respects, things have never been better for us. We have easy access to clean water and nourishing food. We carry the collective knowledge of mankind on a device that fits easily in our pockets. Despite persistent efforts from some media outlets to stir up anxiety, the chances of widespread catastrophe and war seem as remote as ever. Many of the physical ailments and diseases which took so many millions of lives in the past have now been rendered largely harmless. Yet something still feels terribly, horribly off. There's a general sense of unease that no amount of affluence or entertainment can seem to pacify. Kingsnorth exposes, I think, and explains the source of this unease. We are living through what he at one point calls a great unsettling. This is, he says, a time and place where nothing seems solid, comforting, or even real. This unsettling is a consequence of being uprooted. In one section of the book, which I really appreciated, Kingsnorth outlines 4 essential values that provided roots for older societies and cultures. These values are, number 1, a past, or a shared sense of history or ancestry. Number 2, a people, or a shared group identity that informed my own individual identity. So I understand who I am as an individual by my connection to the group. Number 3, a place, or an almost sacred connection to a particular location in nature. And then fourthly, a prayer, or a religious tradition which relates a people to a sacred order. So all 4 of these elements are essential, he argues, in order for a person or a group of persons to feel rooted. We need a past, we need a people, we need a place, and we need a prayer. Each one of these 4 cultural values, he argues, have been replaced by what he calls a global anti-culture. A global anti-culture which promotes science, number 1. Science is the only story capable of describing where we've come from. Number 2, the self. The self is the only source of our identity, not the people that we're attached to, just ourself. Number 3, sex. Sex is the highest means of sacred pleasure at our disposal. And number 4, the screen. The screen is our main interface with reality. So, a past, a people, a place, and a prayer have been replaced by science, the self, sex, and the screen. This anti-culture then results in the mass experience of being uprooted. And this anti-culture affects really all of us. We're now a people who live within the ruins of a once great but now completely alien civilization. This anti-culture is reinforced and spread by means of what Kingsnorth calls the machine. He defines and describes the machine in various ways throughout the book. Those who are familiar with the writings of French philosopher Jacques Ellul will see some similarities between what Kingsnorth calls the machine and what Ellul called technique. This describes a phenomenon where efficiency and control become the dominant cultural values. These values are promoted by technology, but they're about much more than just technology. These values are really about a changed worldview in which human values, I should say, become machine values. So our values are replaced by the values of the machine. These values are often hidden behind political euphemisms like progress, diversity, liberalism, or even conservatism. But these labels are always, he argues, defined by the machine. And so our progress is only in the direction of the machine. And even our conservatism is only in service of conserving the machine. Uprooted from the sacred order, from our past, from nature, from community, even from the grittiness of life, human beings can't escape the feeling that we are becoming more and more artificial as time passes. It's almost like we're being processed and packaged by powers that are greater than we can imagine or control. Now, I know this sounds kind of heady. It sounds maybe more than a little depressing. And if that's the case, I think Kingsnorth will have accomplished his goal. He didn't write this book to make us feel better. He wrote this book to make us feel in a profound way the reality of our situation. This book, I like to compare this book to Neo's red pill in The Matrix. Once you read it, you won't see the world in the same way again. Now, this book is well worth reading, but it's not without criticisms either. My main criticism of the book is that I couldn't help but wonder if the deep pessimism of the book is completely warranted. Kingsnorth sees dark clouds everywhere. Even those things in our culture that might cause us to rejoice in gratitude and hope, turns out those things are just deceptive. What we dubiously call progress is just the machine in disguise. As an example, Kingsnorth's chapter on artificial intelligence might actually cause you to lose some sleep. He believes that artificial intelligence is literally demonic. Now, I also harbor some deep concerns about artificial intelligence, but his analysis at times borders on hysterical. He fails to even consider more positive outcomes and applications for this technology. Kingsnorth is a romantic, and I think his romanticism clouds the way that he sees much of culture. Kingsnorth, I think, would benefit from a more nuanced theology of technology. In the book, he calls himself a self-professed Luddite who has relocated his family as off the grid as possible. This bias and even this paranoia against technology has, I think, again, clouded his analysis. While I can appreciate the deep concerns that we can legitimately have regarding the ways that technology reshapes us in its image, I appreciate those things. I agree with those arguments by and large. I also believe that technological innovation can be biblically and theologically defended as a good thing. God created us with a mandate to be fruitful and multiply and to responsibly rule over the things that he's made. Technological innovation is a natural byproduct of mankind's God-given capacity for creativity, for problem solving, and for rational thought. Now, we know that these capacities have also been broken by sin, which is why we have never really been able to escape the temptation to build new towers of Babel and to use our innovation and our progress to eclipse God rather than to honor God. But the brokenness of technological innovation doesn't render all technological innovation as irredeemably negative or idolatrous. There is a healthy balance to be found between worshiping the machine and being, integrated into the machine, and running to the hills and becoming Amish. We don't have to live at either one of those extremes. Maybe I'm conceding too much, but my response to the book is to be wise about the power of the machine. Wisdom is a commitment that rejects both uninformed naivete and also anxious paranoia. So I do recommend this book. I think that it is a worthwhile read. Like I said, it will cause you to see your life and to see your world in a fresh perspective. It'll bring things to light that maybe you have missed when just looking at the culture in which we live. It'll also, I think, help to explain some of the general feelings and unease that you may have had just contemplating what it means to be human in this world. But the overly pessimistic tone of the book is something worth, I think, critiquing.